Good morning and welcome to the third day of our JPO International Virtual Music Festival. Today is the last day of our Virtual Music Festival. Our first event for today is a music unboxing presented by Dr.Yeoh Li Zi, who is a piano technician and horn player. Our topic for this morning is acquiring the perfect piano, new or used. We would also like to remind everyone that we are conducting an article writing competition whereby the winning articles will be published. More details can be found on the festival homepage. We hope that you enjoy your time with us.
Greetings and welcome. My name is Yeoh. I'm the Director of Piano Technology at the Florida State University College of Music. As a faculty, I run the Piano Technology program, which includes one of its kind in North America, the Master of Arts in Piano Technology. My experience in the piano technology field involves frequent engagement with artists, concert pianists, piano factories, dealers, and universities. At Florida State, we have 100-year-old pianos that will hold the test of time. Allow me to share our experience with you in acquiring your dream pianos. First of all, we'll look through the piano size on verticals and grands. So if you like to acquire an upright, you have to figure out the height. And most of the upright pianos in North America they are built on different sizes. So let's start with the spinet. Spinet is normally the lowest or the smallest upright piano, which would be in between the height of 36 inches to 40. And next up would be a console piano, which is about the height of 40 to 43. And more commons would be, we call the studio, which is between the height of 44 inches to 48. A lot in conservatories, school of musics would have this type of pianos. And of course, consumers. And the largest of all uprights would be 49 inches and above, which is we call the full upright. And as you can see, that the action is a little bit taller than the studio. And this is important as the taller the upright, the larger the sound because of the bass strings and also the dimension of the soundboard behind the piano. So the longer the string, you will get a clearer sound and a cleaner bass. So if you want a vertical, which is an upright, this is the way to go. And let's look at the grand pianos. Grand piano's length is determined by from the front of the key slip to the end of the tail. And the most seen on concert stage would be concert grand, between 8 foot to about 9 foot. And some piano manufacturers even expand it to 10. And then they call the music room grand, a little bit smaller, mostly in teaching studios, and the smaller halls would be between 6'11" to 7'3". These two grand pianos has the fullest sound and are more preferred by concert pianists. And of course, the smaller one, they call the living room grand pianos, or the parlor, and also the baby grand would be between 4'6" to 6'3". So these two types of pianos are more seen in at home or in private teaching studios. And so before you get to shop for a piano, make sure you measure the room that you're going to place your piano in before you go out to shop. So you will have a better idea whether what type of pianos or what size you will need to be in your personal home or even a concert stage. All right, so let's move on to the next one. What are the advantages and disadvantages of an upright piano? Of course, first of all, vertical or upright pianos, they take up less space because you can just push it towards a wall or a corner and you'll save, in a room, you'll save a lot of space. The second point would be the lower cost compared to the grand pianos. And since they're not as heavy as the grand piano, it's easier to move. Well, the vertical disadvantages is concentrating on the action. As you can see here is the upright action, right? So the sound tends to bounce back into the player's face because most uprights going to be stored against the wall. So it's going to be really loud and it's a little bit challenging to control the musical expression. As you can see, the second point is the action is not as advanced as in grand. Repetition of notes is slower because most of the repetition are spring assisted. So you can see here on the damper and also on the hammer butt. Okay, so third point would be the keys are shorter than compared to the grand, and it's a little bit harder to control as well. And cabinet works is usually less elegant and less impressive. And let's move on to the grand pianos. So if you get a grand pianos, the sound develops in a more aesthetic, pleasing manner. So when you play, it bounces off the bottom, bounces off the top, or all over the piano. And make the players easier to listen and control the musical expression. And the next one would be the action is a little bit more sophisticated. I have a grand model right here. So you can see it's a grand piano action. So this is the key and this is the action. So the grand action has a repetition lever, which is this one right here. And to aid the speed of reliability of repetition. And is as gravity assisted. That means when you play the key, the hammer, it will fall by itself with the help of gravity, and then you can restrike again. So it does. It's not as artificial compared to the upright piano. So it's really, you can do really fast repetitions. And as you can see, it has way longer keys than the compared to the upright piano and provides better leverage and greater control. And with grand pianos being a little bit bigger and longer, you get a lot of options, more elegant and aesthetic pleasing cases, design, etc. Well, the disadvantages would be it's big, takes up more space in your house or on the concert stage, and more expensive because more material, and harder to move. It's more heavy. All right, let's go on to the next one. Okay, now we're discussing a different type of pianos on the market. As you can see, all this informations are quoted from the pianobuyer.com, and it's a reliable source. So you can see this is the performance grade pianos by Reputation, and the price range would be in between $18,000 US dollar to about $70,000. Between all these brands, most of the brands that you probably have seen before, European brands such as the Bechstein Blüthner, Bösendorfer Fazioli, Steingraber and Sons, Hamburg Steinway, Foster, Gottschalk, Salter. These are according to alphabetical orders. And the United States one would be the New York Steinway, Mason Hamlin, and Charles Walter. These are the only three that's still here in the States. And the rest, all over the world, Estonia, Kawai, Shigeru Kawai from Japan, Petrov, Schimmel, Germany, Yamaha from Japan, etc. And the grand pianos would range between price of $45,000 to $150,000 and above. And the next one would be the consumer grade piano. So you can see the vertical would be about $4,000 from the economy grade to the professional, $20,000. And the grants would be from about $9,500, $10,000 to $55,000. So this would be the brands that you probably will see even more when you go shop for a piano. And again, please be aware that this chart is not, strictly speaking, a rating of piano's quality. Consumer grade pianos are listed here by price range. Performance grade pianos are listed by general reputation. Okay. All right, let's move on. So these are the pianos that I have encountered and I've serviced on, and most of them I'm still working on as well. The first category would be the upright piano. So you can see in the blue tabs, the Charles Walters, and a 43-inch tall called the studio piano can be musical. And it's made in the USA. It's a very highly reputable upright piano. We have also Hailun. It's a very good pricing, a total package balanced tone responsive action. However, we have some in the College of Music that we need minor repairs on sticking keys and has to replace the felts, but it's something that we could work on, perhaps with the humidity changes. And the third one would be the Kawai. We have Kawai, a very reliable piano. A Schimmel, reliable, but the price tag is a little bit higher. And of course, the Yamaha U1 is all-time favorite. And the next would be the grand pianos. So you can see I've serviced on Estonia pianos, which are excellent among high-end pianos. Kawai, 5'11". Very good piano, a very competitive pianos that's under 6 foot long. Mason Hamlin, very good piano. A lot of piano for the price you pay for. Steinway and Sons M, a very, very popular piano as well. Grands that's above 6 and 610. So Bösendorfer 200. 200 is a centimeter. It's about 6'7". Very, very distinct sound, very clean sound. A lot of chamber music players really like it. Vocalist, componist, and Zyler 6'2". We have one at the College of Music, clear treble and good sustain. Yamaha C3X 6'1" is we have a couple at the College of Music. Very easy to service. And the bigger piano would be the Grands over 610, would be the Bösendorfer, same food. They have service, really beautiful piano, a little bit high-end price. Has a lot of projection, very beautiful Viennese sound. And the last one would be, of course, Steinway and Sons B and Yamaha C7 would be the pianos that are very popular in recording studios. And yeah, it's very reliable pianos overall. Okay. Well, this question has been asked a lot. New or used? So we're going to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages. Most of the time when I talk to my students, I normally like to compare it with buying a car. So just imagine that you just walk into a car dealer to get a new car. And most piano would give 10 years manufacturer's warranty, which is pretty standard for new pianos. And like new car, you get little chance of hidden defects, which means you won't really get too much of a trouble after getting a new piano. If you get a reliable dealers, they would always unbox the piano, check every little thing before they send it out to you, which is a responsible dealer. There to say it comes with lower maintenance costs, with little defects, and it's easier to shop for. If you go into a piano dealer, a piano store, most of the dealers would carry a couple different sizes of the same brand, from uprights to a concert grand. You can play through all of them and pick the one that you like the most or you fall in love with, and you can just order. If the model on the floor has been sold, you can still order for another one, because they keep making new pianos. That wouldn't happen for a used piano. If it's sold, then it's gone, right? Same as a car dealer. And the next point would be usually more local choices. All right, just as I explained, you can go in there and even pick from a catalog to look at different colors. More fun to shop for. Longer life expectancy means the piano will last for another 100 years if it's a reputable, very well built piano. Greater peace of mind after purchasing. Same thing. If you get a new car, it should come with at least a 3-year warranty. Then you don't have to worry about for the next 3 years or for the next 10 years for piano. All right, the disadvantages would be, of course, the higher upfront cost because you're getting a new products, right? And significantly depreciation loss if resold within first few years. Most pianos are true, but this is because piano does not appreciate as fast as, for example, a house or anything. It would, within a few years, you can still get a newer piano maybe a couple $1,000s more expensive or a couple $100s more expensive. So basically, we consider that a loss because people normally would opt for a newer piano because of that little difference in price. And the third point of disadvantages would be limited choice of attractive older styles and finishes. So most of the time, if you want to get an older styles or a more rare kind of finishes, you would have to wait in line because most pianos would be built either black or satin or ebony polish. That means shiny piano. So if you want something like an exotic wood finish, you have to wait a little longer. And the older style is harder to make, so it takes a little longer to make. It's limited. It's available, but it's probably limited. And but I know that if you want to get an organ, famous organ builder, you probably have to wait 5 to 10 years. So a couple of years for piano is pretty good, I think. All right, next would be a used piano advantages. All right, lower upfront cost. That means, well, it's used piano, and like a used car, you don't have to pay the depreciation. And greater choice of attractive older styles and finishes. That's partially true. What you can find is what you can get. You can't really get a duplication of something is sold or unavailable on used piano. And next would be, can be more fun and interesting to shop for. If you like antiques, if you like to know more about the history of pianos and also different type of designs and etc., yeah, it's good for you. And next point will be restorer may detail instrument to an extent that rivals new pianos. So if you find a really good restorer, you can make the piano being restored to a way better condition. So that's what this point means. Piano likely to be already significantly depreciated, resulting in little or no loss if resold. So as same as the first point, you can get it at a very good price. So the disadvantages of piano: no warranty most of the time, used piano. Only probably you can do it through a dealer or a restorer that would be willing to give you a warranty. Most of the time is about 6 months to a year. And the next 3 points would be something that's applicable if unless completely restored. So the disadvantages would be greater chance of hidden defects, which you can't really see if you're not familiar with that, higher maintenance costs, and shorter piano life expectancies. So it's more like something that's unpredictable. If you're not a piano, if you're not in piano business or a professional piano technician. And so 2 years ago, we got a donation of this piano on the left. It's a Steinway & Sons piano. It's made in 1923, and everything is original on this piano when we get it donated. And with the my students that studied the Master of Arts in Piano Technology, we restored the piano last year. As you can see, the whole piano is being rebuilt and transformed into a new piano. And this piano been restored to the former glory and it will last for another 100 years. So this is one of the a good example of restored or rebuilt piano. And last 3 points would be the used piano can be maddening, difficult, and confusing to shop for. If you don't spend enough time to understand the piano inside out or talk to enough people, then you can get confused. It's just like buying anything else, anything on the market. You need to do your homework. And the next point would be you have to pay technician to examine and appraise it. There's some cost involved, but I think it's gonna be worth it, because if you find a reputable, reliable technician to go and check the piano for you, you pay a couple $100, but at the end you know what you get, and perhaps you can get also a list of what to expect and what to improve on the piano. So I think it's a great, I would say it's not a total disadvantages, but then if you're shopping for a couple pianos, then you're spending a chunk of money. And the last point would be possible need to size up restorer's ability to do a good job. That means you have to pick the right person to do it. You have to do a good homework as well to know who has experience, who has done it before. And that can be difficult sometimes because there are less and less younger generation out there that's interested in doing this into this trade. But that's why at the Florida State University College of Music, we really cherish this type of trade, and that's why we keep the program running. All right. This chart is showing you that the prices of used pianos in US dollar is like a Kelly Blue Book. If you shop for a car, you key in the serial number, the VIN number, and the car model, etc., and you can get approximately the price of the car that you want to buy or you want to sell. So the first part of this chart refers to the vertical pre-1950, average brand, better brand, best brand, and 50s to 1980, same, and then 1980 forward, right? So as you can see, these are the conditions of the piano. So you can, if you would like to get a piano in North America, this would be a good chart to start. The reason why the rebuild is not available is because most rebuilding projects would be focused on mainly grand pianos. Okay, and the next one would be focused on grand piano pre-1950s. On a different condition, on average brand, better brand, and best brand on different sizes. And 1950s to 1980s, also average better and best brands. If you want to refer back to the chart earlier, that would be something that you want to look into if you are finding the price points on different piano brands that I showed earlier. And interesting enough, you get to choose recondition, which is partially rebuilt, not a full rebuild. And you can find the price of a full rebuild price. So this chart is to tell you that if you get a very, very good piano, about 6 foot to 7 foot, after you've done a full rebuilding, it's still gonna be way, you still get a better piano with a way less price if you compared to if you get a completely new piano. Okay. So next, let's talk about the piano dealer. So this is important points because you need to know how to deal with the piano store. When you walk into the piano store, you talk to the salesperson or the manager or the boss. You kind of have to have get to know a little bit before you go in there. So a knowledgeable and helpful salesperson can help you sort through what you need, which is piano is right for you. So go in there, talk to the personnel that's on the floor. Go to different dealers and see which one is more knowledgeable, more enthusiast, and more helpful. And the second would be a dealer with a good selection of instruments. So the more instrument you can select from, you get better options, right? So, and that would also mean that the dealer is really into business. It's not just a couple of pianos. And all pianos arrive from a factory needing some kind of pre-sales adjustment to compensate. So a reliable dealer would do a lot of prep works on the floor before they send the pianos out to you. Of course, the more expensive piano they would focus on, but the more expensive piano always come in prepared really well. So most of the time, a dealer would also work on the less expensive piano to make them compete with the more expensive pianos. And a good dealer will provide prompt, courteous skill service to correct any small problems that occur. And of course, they would take care of the warranty service. So all these questions you have to ask before you get to know whether the dealer is reliable or not. Okay, these pianos brands, according to the pianobuyer.com, the authors say these piano brands are better to avoid than to get them. And please note that this list applies to the use of these names only during the mid to late 1900s. So all these brands are mostly American made and some foreign made brands of the period during that time. So this is just for a reference. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, as we mentioned earlier, the size of the dealership and how many pianos it agrees to purchase. This is something that you have to get to know whether, talk to the owner. The owner, if he's a sincere person, he will let you know. So you can actually know what to expect from the piano that you're gonna invest in. So where the dealer pays cash or finance the purchase, the degree of which the dealer buys manufacturer overstocks at bargain price. So this would determine the price that you get on the piano. So if they have, sometimes they have a sales going on, they might have reasons to have pianos that's a little bit less expensive than if you have a competitor. Sometimes they do match prices, so you kind of have to talk to the personnel on the floor. Any special terms of the dealership with the manufacturer, competing sales events around the area, and whether the customer is trading a used piano, just like trading a used car. All right. Also, look around for how long a particular piano has been sitting around unsold. and most of the time you can get a better bargain. Dealer's financial condition, general cost of doing business in the area, the level of pre and post-sale services that the dealer provides, the level of professionalism of the sales staff, very important, the ease of local comparison shopping by the consumer. So all these little things might seem not very um, not very obvious, but these things would help you to get a good deal when you go shop for a piano. All right, the final advice would be you would be able to read and research on the manufacturer design of the instruments, but most importantly, if you can find a piano technician to go with you, it would be best. And then you should focus on how the instrument sounds, feels, and looks, right? And sometimes you have to be careful when you are listening to the salesperson. Sometimes they might, the technical features might often taken out of context. Okay, that means they might be focused on something like a new features compared to an improved old feature. So you always have to be careful. Consult your piano technician and be a good source of reference. All right, so let me see whether we have some question. Okay, I don't see a question. So let's keep on going with the frequently asked questions by some consumers mostly would like to ask would be, how long does a piano last? So this is a good article. If you play 8 to 16 hours a day in a practice room, the piano might be dead in 10 years or less. That means you put in a lot of mileage playing the piano, which is a great thing for piano students. And but if you don't actually do that and the piano is really, really in mint condition, it would last for 40 to 50 years. It's pretty good, pretty long lasting until you need a good, overhaul. All right. And the next would be, so it really depends on how most pianos are being taken care of. So it does not have a fixed answer. So basically, if you play a piano for 10 years and you feel like you need an upgrade, the piano is not sounding as good as it used to be, or you found a way better piano sound that you fall in love with, then you can upgrade. As long as the piano meets your needs and expectation, you can rebuild it or switch the hammers, get new hammers and new strings, then it would be restored to the former glory. And the other frequently asked question would be buying a restored piano. What is a restored piano? So restored piano could refer to a minimal partial restoration as reconditioning, cleaning up the piano, replacing few worn parts, tuning, adjusting the action as needed. We call this regulation. And so a top-notch grand piano rebuilder could rebuild a piano from 20,000 to 40,000. And that's, you can get a totally new piano to begin with. And of course, searching for a piano rebuilder is not easy. You kind of have to make judgments about whether the piano builder is skillful and also a trustworthy person. So that's the downside of whether you can find a good piano rebuilder to restore your piano. And the last frequently asked question would be the modern technology. So people ask if I want to get a digital or acoustic piano, right? And since I deal with more acoustic, I'll talk a little bit more about acoustic piano that has a player system. That means the piano can be connected. If you install a player system, the piano will play by itself, and the piano can be connected to another piano over the internet for long distance lessons, concerts, and master classes, especially during this time. Um, it's more and more popular. An instrument that for study purposes can also record and build up the library and pre-record performances. And then you can replay it. It's like a live person that's playing on the instrument. So if you record the accompaniment part, you can just send the recording document to your vocalist, and he or she can play it from the home, the piano, if they have the same piano player system. Vocalists, wind players, string players, whichever, right? So the third point would be a piano that connects to a computer and can function as an interactive compositioning tool. So I was lucky enough to be handling the Busendorfer Zeus piano, one of the pioneer, more than 10 years ago when I was in University of North Texas. So we bought a computer, Busendorfer piano, and placed it in the modern composition studio in the university, the hall. So we call it MEIT hall, interactive composition tool, which is really fun. I get to troubleshoot it every time it needs a little configuration. I always go there and help it out, and it's fun to watch how they compose with that instrument. And the piano also can be used for score following software, and also feature rehearsals with a concerto with electronic orchestra that follows the soloist. So if you would like to get this type of pianos and you're interested in investing in the modern piano technology of the player's piano, should think about it. Do more readings on it before you buy a piano, and then later, if you like to install, it's gonna take it's gonna be a little bit more hassle to install a system on the piano. It's better to buy a piano that comes with a system, then you know what to expect. And factory warranty would be a little bit better to be included, just in case you need any help with troubleshooting, repairs, and etc. All right, I think that's all I would like to share for today. And thank you for your time, and good luck on your piano shopping or piano hunting out there. Let me see whether we have some question. Okay, there is a question about what would be your recommendation for someone who wants to own a grand piano if he or she can't find a piano technician, and this is for someone who lives in a rural area. It's a very interesting question. I'm not sure how rural is or further out. You might have to find somebody that's willing to travel to your place or to where the piano is to to check out the pianos before you get it. I would strongly not recommend to get a piano online because it's really, really tough to deal with it later if it's sent to your house not what you expected. So if you can find somebody that's reliable, that has long history of working on pianos, hire them to go to look at the piano. All right, the second question would be, hi, Dr. Yeoh, is the serial number of a used piano important in determining if one should buy the piano, or it is more to do with the condition of the piano? I would go with the condition of the piano. As I mentioned, you can totally rebuild a piano if you can find somebody that's reliable and experienced doing it. Serial number just telling you how old the piano is. It doesn't necessarily telling you what the condition of the piano is. It might be not well taken care of. The piano might be stored outdoors for a long period of time. So it's better to get a piano technician to look at it, a qualified one. So, hi, Dr. Yeoh, is it better to buy a big upright than a baby grand piano? Very, very good question. Most of the time, we would encourage, first of all, look at the space you have. If you don't have space to put a grand piano, a large or a very tall upright would be actually better than getting a 5-foot piano that's smaller than 5-foot concert grand piano. If you take a ruler to measure the bass string, you will be able to see some really tall upright pianos has a longer string than the baby grand pianos that's smaller than 5-foot. Okay, and this is the advantages of the upright, but the disadvantages of the upright would be the action is not going to repeat as fast as the grand piano. So if you want to play something really flashy or fast, you can only do it on the grand piano because it repeats way more efficiently. So you kind of have to choose between these two battles. The sound quality would be very, very close if you have not played, place a concert grand or a bigger grand piano in the room you're going to place them in. Okay, next question. Hope this answer all of your questions. Morning, Dr. Yeoh. What do you think about refurbished piano imported from Japan? In my country, there are few piano sellers specialized selling refurbished piano from overseas. I'm not sure about where you are. In the States, we have pianos that they call the gray market pianos. So that means it's built somewhere with a more humid country. And then when it's imported into, let's say, the Midwest of America, which is really dry, and the wood is not built for the climate. So if it's from a humid climax to a humid climax, then it would be fine. But if it's from a humid to a dry climax, then that means the piano will have hard time get accustomed to the humidity. So you kind of have to read more of or talk to the technicians, of local technicians, of whether they have serviced the pianos that as you mentioned is called the refurbished piano. So if the refurbished piano has been around and still works for I would say 5 to 10 years and no big issues, then it will be safe. If you hear a lot of problems during the 5 and 10 years of the pianos that, or the piano technicians serving the pianos, then you probably should avoid that. Okay. All right. Good evening, doctor. For maintenance, how often do you think we should get it tuned and regulated, especially in countries like Malaysia and Singapore? Is it to do with the humidity or how often we play? Yes, good question. It's mostly has to do with humidity. If you have a piano that's always stored in air conditioned control humidity room, then I would suggest check it 2 to 3 times a year. And if your piano is mainly exposed to whatever humidity is around, um, sometimes it's dry, sometimes it's humid. Most of the time, Malaysia and Singapore are humid. Um, then you probably have to do more than 2 3 times. It really depends also on the recommendation of your piano technician. So yeah, how often you play is that might um, that might affect it if you play like 8 to 16 hours a day. Um, but if you play less than 4 hours, it's not going to be too much of a changes. All right, in Texas, US. Good morning, Dr. Yeoh. Do we need a more specialized technician to maintain a second-hand Steinway and Sons in Malaysia or Singapore? It's always good to have a specialized technician to maintain um, a second-hand or a used piano, especially Steinway and Sons. They are expensive pianos. If you find a not specialized or non-trained technician or somebody that does not know what he or she is doing, then you are putting yourself in danger that he or she might break or, you know, deregulate your pianos. Then when you have to go back to the specialized technician, you will have to pay double or triple of time and money to actually put it back into service. Um, I hope that answers your questions because when you say specialized, I'm thinking you are referring to the um, piano technician that works at the Steinway dealers or a certified Steinway technician. Okay, there's another, hopefully the last question. So good morning, could you advise on optimal protection for a piano in seafront dwelling, please? If my piano is kept in the 24 hours condition. Okay, the spec is a different question. Seafront dwelling place. In Florida, which I'm here, where I am now, we have a lot of seafront dwelling places or buildings. We have a system called the damp chaser system. It's a humidity system that that control a heating rods that if it's a grand piano, we put 2 on it. and that would make the humidity around the pianos to dry up if it's too humid. And there is a humidistat, which is like a brain of the heating rods. It will turn on when it's too humid, and then when it's too dry, it will shut off. So that's what I have on my pianos at home. That's something if you want to look into installing, you have to find somebody that knows how to do it. All right, and last question, one more. Hi, Dr. Yeoh. If my piano is kept in a 24-hour air conditioned room, do I still need the piano heater? When you say piano heater, that means the piano bar, right? It really depends how well your air conditioned room is regulated. You might want to get a hygrometer to check it out. If it's really consistent, between 45 and 55% most of the time throughout the year, then you probably don't need a piano heater, okay? If it's fluctuating, then you will need one. So you have to make record of all this, okay? You're welcome, Jessica. One more, all right, last one, and then I think we have to go. Is it necessary to use the piano regularly in order to keep it in more tip-top condition, like all the other instruments? Okay, I'm assuming you're asking should you play your piano more often so the piano won't get out of shape or something. Not necessarily. If a piano is kept under a stable humidity place, and if you don't play it, the piano will last for a longer time, as I mentioned in my slide. So if you play 8 to 16 hours, the piano age would decrease about 10 years or less daily, if you play that daily, 16 hours. And if you don't play it, and the piano would have a longer life for 40 to 50 years. So yeah, but make sure you play it, because it's you bought the instrument. If you love the piano, you have the instrument, play it more often. It's good for your soul. Q&A. All right, one more Q&A. Hi, Dr. Yeoh. Could you please advise whether it's better to buy a new grand piano or use refurbished grand piano? I think I have already answered that question. So if you go back and look from the top of the video, then or the recorded presentation, you could follow all my thoughts. All right. I think that's all for today. Thank you so much, everybody, to being here, and we'll see you next time. Take good care. Bye-bye.